It's time for another collection update, and today I'm going to be going over all the new movies I added to my collection on 4K and Blu-ray in the last month. So let's rock this. Hey everyone, how you doing? Welcome back. I'm Fuzz, and it's about that time again. I've got another collection update video for you guys. I did my last update about a month ago, and I usually do these collection updates every couple of months, but this time around I had a larger than usual number of new titles that I added to my collection during the month of December, as is often the case in the month of December. So I figured I'd just go ahead and go over all these titles with you guys today, wipe the slate clean for 2024, and start fresh in 2025. And as I usually do, I'll go over all my new Blu-ray pickups first, and then I'll move on to the new 4K pickups after that, which is going to be most of the video. I think I've got about like 5 new Blu-rays that I added to the collection during this time, but the rest are all 4Ks, and I think I counted like 23 titles or something like that. So we've got quite a few titles here we're digging into today, and no long intro either. We're just going to get right into our jam here. All right, so let's start off with the new Blu-rays I added to my collection in the last month. The first one is a Charles Bronson film from 1988, and that is Messenger of Death. I've never seen this one, so I don't know if it's any good or not, or if it sucks or whatnot, but bit by bit, I've been adding more and more Charles Bronson to my collection, so I was looking for something else that I hadn't seen of his. And this is also a Cannon Films movie. I'm a big fan of Cannon Films, all those old Cannon Films movies from the 80s, and so that I do collect Cannon Films kind of informally. I mean, I don't have like a dedicated Cannon Films section in my collection, but whenever I can pick up an old Cannon Films release, I'm game for it. I'm always down with exploring movies from Cannon that I haven't seen yet, so I'm looking forward to checking this one out. For you Bronson fans out there, let me know what you think of this one in the comments below. Where would you rank this in his catalog of films compared to, like, you know, Death Wish or 10 to Midnight, and other or I should say like Death Wish 2, 3, 4, and 5. Those were Cannon Films released. The first Death Wish was not a Cannon movies release. But as far as like his Cannon Films output, if you're a fan of Bronson and you've seen a lot of his Cannon movies, I'd love to know where this one ranks among his Cannon titles for you personally. So, but yeah, that's my first Blu-ray pickup, Messenger of Death. Next up, I've got a 1990 film with Mel Gibson, Goldie Hawn. I used to watch this all the time on cable TV back in the day, talking about Bird on a Wire. And I was revisiting this the other night, and it was a blast. I had a lot of fun with it. I was surprised at how much of it all came back to me. I remembered everything about this movie, and I hadn't seen it in probably at least 20 years, maybe 25 years. I used to watch it quite a bit when it, was relatively new and airing on cable TV back in the early 90s or mid 90s. But prior to picking up this Blu-ray, I hadn't seen it for many years. So it was fun coming back to this one after all that time. And like I said, I was surprised at how much of it I actually remembered. It all came right back to me, and it's just a lot of fun. It's kind of an action comedy. It's a little bit cheesy here and there, and the music is really bad for this particular one. The score for this film just really doesn't seem like it fits very well. You definitely get that cheesy kind of 80s or late 80s, early 90s synth, but yeah, the music would just seem so inappropriate. It was actually almost kind of distracting when I was watching this the other night. I didn't realize how bad the music for this film actually is. But the rest of the film's a lot of fun. I do enjoy the film, and yeah, like I said, I had a good time coming back to this one after so many years. So yeah, Mel and Goldie and Bird on a Wire, a great Blu-ray from Kino Lorber. And then I also picked up a more seasonal film that I didn't end up getting around to watching this year. I'm going to have to save it for next year. And I'm talking about The Ice Harvest. This came recommended, and I can't remember who recommended it. And I'm sorry about that. I get so many comments that sometimes I forget which person left which comment. But I remember I was chatting with someone about this movie, and I ended up picking it up. But then I never got around to watching it before Christmas. And then, of course, after Christmas, I didn't really have much interest in seeing it. So I'm just going to file it in the collection and wait around until next Christmas. And, eventually I'll get around to checking it out. And I hear it's a great film. So I look forward to checking it out then. But this is not the kind of film I would watch before then. This is definitely one of those films that seems appropriate for the month of December. So I'll just hold on until next December. Okay, and then I also picked up the Criterion Collection Blu-ray of Deep Cover, starring Lawrence Fishburne, Jeff Goldblum. This is a 1992 film, and I just watched this one the other night as well. Had a lot of fun with this one. I'm not going to say too much about it right now because I think I'm going to be talking about this one in an upcoming video I'm doing on neo-noir movies. But that's essentially what this is, a neo-noir crime drama. So if you like that type of thing, you might want to check this one out. It's a great role for Larry Fishburne. I think he's even credited as Larry Fishburne in this particular movie. He hadn't gone fully into the Lawrence transformation at that point. But solid movie, well before The Matrix ever came out. He was doing stuff like this. So I love Lawrence Fishburne. He's one of my favorite actors, certainly a top 10 favorite actor for me. So yeah, if you've never seen Deep Cover, this is one I'd definitely recommend for fans of like neo-noir crime dramas. So yeah, Deep Cover. And then I also picked up a cool little 2003 film from 101 Films called The Cooler, starring William H. Macy, Maria Bello. Alec Baldwin is in this. This is a cool little, I guess you could call this a neo-noir movie as well. It's kind of like a underbelly of Las Vegas casino life kind of film. I mean, that's oversimplifying it, but you get the general idea. And this is one I'm probably not going to say too much about either because I think I'm going to be talking about this one a little bit more in that upcoming neo-noir top 10 list video that I'm going to be doing here in the next couple weeks. So, but this was great. And I will say something about the edition. It's a cool little edition. I thought I was getting a chunky box, just the pictures I'd seen. I thought this was like a rigid hard box, and it's not. But that's okay. It's like a slipcover, but it's still a cool little edition. I was happy just to find that this movie had even been released on Blu-ray. I have an old DVD of this that I haven't watched in a long time. And so I can't remember what jogged my memory about this movie a few weeks back, but I just remembered that it was a good movie. And so I did some digging and I found that 101 Films had put out this cool Blu-ray release. So I was excited about that. And you get like a side-loading slipcover. It's not a rigid hard box. It's a flimsier slipcover, but it's cool. It's still cool. It's not like super flimsy, but it's not rigid like the Arrow chunky boxes, right? But I love even these kind of side-loading slipcovers are cool. And then that also has like a little booklet in it, and then you get the Blu-ray as well. It is a Region B Blu-ray, but I was able to get it to play on my Panasonic UB820 4K player using that little region bypass hack that you can use. For those who may not be aware of what I'm talking about, there is a little hack you can do on the Panasonic players to bypass the region coding and kind of trick the machine into taking you straight to the main menu. And it works on about, I think about 90% of the discs, the out of region discs I've tried it on. And this one it worked fine on. So, but I had a lot of fun revisiting this one. I hadn't seen it in quite some time. So yeah, The Cooler was the last Blu-ray I picked up. Okay, and now let's move on to the new 4K movies I added to my collection over the last month. I've got a shitload of 4Ks here, so it was a good month. And the first is a Clint Eastwood film from 1975, a film I'd never seen before, but The Eiger Sanction is one that I'd been meaning to add to my collection. It's one that I had been meaning to get around to. I'd heard it was a good movie, and it is. I really enjoyed this one. It was really entertaining, and it was actually, I mean, it's a good kind of a international espionage type thriller, hitman type thriller that takes place in the Swiss Alps. But there's some comedic value in this movie as well that I wasn't really expecting. I was cracking up during a few scenes here. The banter between Clint Eastwood and some of the other characters is really good. And anyway, Clint Eastwood, George Kennedy in this, just a really good film. I'm surprised it took me so long to get around to watching this one, but I really enjoyed it, and I'm glad I picked it up. And of course, the natural locations in the movie look amazing on 4K, so you can't go wrong with this one if you are a Clint Eastwood fan. And so if you've never seen this one, it's one I'd highly recommend. And if you've seen it or have it on Blu-ray, but you don't have it on 4K, yeah, the 4K looks great. This is a Kino Lorber release. And yeah, that's about all I can really say about it. Just great stuff. So the Iger sanction. And then next up, I added another title to my William Friedkin collection. This is a movie I had seen before, but not for many years. The Rules of Engagement. When did this movie come out? 2000. So another Kino Lorber release here. Kino Lorber always does a great job with their 4Ks. Their transfers always look really good. But this is a William Friedkin movie that, like, at the time when I saw it, I didn't know anything about William Friedkin. I didn't even know who he was at the time. You know, I'd seen The Exorcist and maybe something else, but I didn't really know that much about William Friedkin at the time when I saw this. So that significance was kind of lost on me at the time. And I didn't really even remember this movie that well. I know I had seen it. I saw it, you know, probably not long after it came out on cable TV. But I didn't really remember it that well. But it's a really good movie, kind of a cool courtroom, like a military courtroom drama, I think is the best way to describe it. Of course, you got Tommy Lee Jones in this and Samuel L. Jackson. Great acting in this. And yeah, I've taken an increased interest over the last couple years in adding more William Friedkin films to my collection. So when I saw this was available on 4K, a film I don't own yet, I just had to get it. So yeah, Rules of Engagement. And then the other Kino Lorber 4K release I picked up during this time was actually an upgrade from Blu-ray for me. And I'm talking about Narrow Margin, Gene Hackman, Ann Archer. This is a great little, almost kind of a neo-noir thriller as well. And this is a really good film, and it looks fantastic on 4K too. The natural locations and settings, they really lend themselves well to 4K. This just looks stunning on 4K. And, you know, I have the Kino Lorber Blu-ray of this, so I wasn't even sure if I wanted to upgrade it. You know, I was kind of pondering it for a while and chewing on it. And at first I was thinking, yeah, I probably don't need to upgrade that. But then I started thinking about it. It's like, I don't know. It's a good film. I really would like to see what it looks like in 4K. And so ultimately I ended up pulling the trigger on it and picking it up. And I was not disappointed. You know, Kino Lorber does a great job with their 4K transfers. And I say that all the time, but it's true. You know, they might not be the most the fanciest in terms of packaging or, you know, slick limited editions or anything like that, but their transfers are really solid and they are very, very consistent. So anyway, this is a great movie. I'm a big Gene Hackman fan, so I think in part prompted my upgrade. You know, he's one of my favorite actors as well, like a top 10 favorite actor for me as well. So I'm bit by bit kind of bulking up my Gene Hackman collection. And so yeah, I had to upgrade this to 4K and no regrets about doing so at all. So Narrow Margin. Okay, and moving right along here, got a couple Scream Factory releases next. The first one, and both of which I haven't ever seen the movie before, so it'll be new for me. The first of which is Riddick. To go with my Arrow Chronicles of Riddick and Pitch Black, I had to pick up Riddick on 4K. Haven't had a chance to watch it yet. I don't know if it's any good. I don't know where this even rates compared to the first two films in the trilogy. But I'm looking forward to seeing it. And, you know, Scream Factory, they also always do a really good job with their 4K releases. And I'm often quite impressed with the 4Ks we get from Scream Factory, just in terms of the restoration and how they look. So I'll be curious to see how this movie is, both in terms of the restoration, which, you know, I wouldn't have any way to judge it because I've never seen it before, of course, but definitely curious to see if this movie's just any good. So if you guys, you Riddick fans out there, let me know what you think about this one. How does this compare to Chronicles of Riddick and Pitch Black? You know, I like the first two. I think they're both great films, but I didn't hear a lot of hype or buzz surrounding this one, so I'm not sure what to make of that. But I look forward to checking it out and seeing what it's all about. So yeah, Riddick And then also from Scream Factory, I picked up a Sam Raimi film that I don't remember, The Gift. This is another one of those films that I feel like I saw it at some point, like the title sounds familiar, but I don't remember anything about the film, and it doesn't sound familiar just reading the synopsis. So, but I dig Sam Raimi. I love his style, and so I'm curious to see what this movie's all about, see if it's any good. But you do have a ton of people in this film. Cate Blanchett, Giovanni Ribisi, Keanu Reeves, Katie Holmes, Greg Kinnear, and Hilary Swank. I mean, that's a pretty impressive cast. So, you know, I'm definitely looking forward to checking this out. I guess it's kind of like a mystery thriller type movie, but, you know, I can't say for sure because, of course, I've never seen it. But I'm always intrigued by the work Sam Raimi does. I just find him to be a really interesting filmmaker. So, and you know, I love that he doesn't necessarily stick to one type of thing. I mean, we know Sam Raimi for horror and maybe a little bit, you know, the superhero stuff with Spider-Man and whatnot. But he's done other types of movies as well. And this seems like one of those other types of movies. So, yeah, I'll look forward to checking this one out at my earliest convenience. I haven't quite been in the mood for to experiment and check this one out yet, but I will get to it eventually. So yeah, from Scream Factory, The Gift. And then while we're on the topic of Sam Raimi, let's move on to a couple Arrow video purchases here on 4K. A Simple Plan, starring Bill Paxton, Billy Bob Thornton, Bridget Fonda. This was a really good movie. Another Sam Raimi directed film. And this was kind of different compared to other stuff I've seen Raimi do. This was a different type of movie. It was more, I don't know, I felt like this was a more grounded type of movie for Raimi in terms of style, right? Stylistically and aesthetically, I felt like this was a bit more of a grounded movie compared to some of the wild stuff he's done in other movies. But I really enjoyed this. This is another one of those movies where I know I saw the movie years ago when it first came out, but I didn't really remember anything about it other than the actors that were in it, right? I didn't remember the plot very well. So I had fun revisiting this one. It felt like a first-time watch to me at the time, but great looking 4K from Arrow and just a solid movie. Another, what is this? This is kind of a thriller as well. It gets a little tense in places. But yeah, a lot of fun. And if you're a Sam Raimi fan, this is one I would definitely recommend. Although, like I said, it's a little different than his, you know, horror or superhero output. This movie came out in 1998, and I seem to remember it playing on cable TV, so I know I must have stumbled across it at some point. I feel like I did, but again, I don't really remember that. So, but yeah, just a great release from Arrow. I really enjoyed this movie. It's a well done film and a well done 4K release from Arrow Video. So yeah, A Simple Plan. And then also from Arrow Video, I picked up the new 4K of The Invasion, what is this, a 2007 film with Daniel Craig, Nicole Kidman. This is like a remake of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, and another film I had seen once, precisely one time before picking up this 4K. And it's, again, many years ago, I saw it, I think around the time it first came out. But I remember it being a pretty entertaining film. I remember really enjoying it. And I think at the time when I saw this, I had never even seen the original Invasion of the Body Snatchers. So this was kind of new to me, the concept or whatever. But I remember really enjoying it at the time, although I don't at this point remember everything about the film. But I remember enough to know that I was entertained by this. So I thought I'd go ahead and give this one a shot on 4K. Oh, and this is their limited edition release. It's not a chunky box. It just comes with a slipcover, but you know, it's a cool looking slip. I thought it was a decent looking slipcover, but I wasn't really expecting a chunky box for this film. You know, I'm not particular on the packaging for this particular title. It just seemed like it would be a fun title to add to the collection, and I remember having fun with it years ago when I watched it, so I thought I'd give it a shot and pick it up. So I'm looking forward to returning to this one, and if anything, just to find out if I'm still as entertained by it now, knowing doing what I do now as I was back at the time when I first watched it. That's always the trick, right? Sometimes you have good memories about something, you think something was a lot of fun, and then you come back to it many years later and realize it wasn't as good as you remembered. Very common story, of course, but I don't know. I remembered enjoying it, so I'm assuming I will enjoy it again once I get around to watching it. So just haven't had a chance to check out this new 4K yet. So yeah, that's about all I can really say about that one. The Invasion. Okay, and then next up, I finally got around to picking up Dune Part 2. I hadn't added this to my collection yet. Of course, I saw the movie in the theater earlier this year and loved it. I thought it was great. But when the 4K was released, I wasn't anxious to watch it again, so I kind of held off on picking it up. But I finally decided to pick it up. I wanted to see if I could still get a slipcover to match with my Part 1, which has a slipcover, and I got lucky and did. So, and I actually think that's a really cool looking slipcover. I love the slipcover on that. You know, as far as, you know, SDS releases usually do have fairly decent slipcovers, and I just love that kind of metallic look. It definitely looks better than the Part 1 slipcover that came with Part 1. So anyway, I haven't had a chance to check out the new 4K yet. I hear this 4K is incredible, but I have not had a chance to watch it yet. So I will very much look forward to that at some point. I'm sure it looks amazing in 4K. So yeah, Dune Part 2. And then I picked up a couple Paramount releases, had to plug a bit of a hole in my Jack Ryan collection. I have all the Jack Ryan movies on Blu-ray, but bit by bit I've been upgrading them to 4K. And so the first one I picked up was Clear and Present Danger. I was really happy that I was still able to get a slipcover for this one as well. I was just watching this 2 nights ago, I think it was, and really enjoyed returning to this one. I always liked the Harrison Ford, Jack Ryan movies. Hunt for Red October is my favorite Jack Ryan movie, but after Hunt for Red October, the Harrison Ford movies are my preferred movies in that franchise. So at least better than the Ben Affleck movie or the Chris Pine movie. So yeah, I loved returning to this one. I used to watch it quite a bit on cable TV. It was one of those ones that was on repeat quite a bit on cable TV, or I seem to remember it was always playing. Both of the Harrison Ford, Jack Ryan movies, in fact, were on cable TV quite a bit. So yeah, I was happy to pick up Clear and Present Danger, and then the other Harrison Ford, Jack Ryan movie I also added to my collection, Patriot Games, and this one I wasn't quite as fortunate with. I wasn't able to get a slipcover with this one. This one came out, I think, a year earlier than Clear and Present Danger. So, but either way, that's fine. I'm just happy to have it on 4K. This one I actually saw in the theater when it first came out, and you know, always thought it was a good film. So although between the two, I'm actually a little bit more partial to Clear and Present Danger. I like this one a little bit more, at least in terms of like rewatchability. I find like Clear and Present Danger is a little bit more rewatchable than Patriot Games, at least in my view. And that's just because of the story and, you know, how the story's laid out. But both of the Harrison Ford, Jack Ryan films are great. I've always enjoyed them. So yeah, I was happy to pick up Patriot Games on 4K as well. By the way, if you're enjoying the content on this channel, do me a favor and please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you do, don't forget to activate that notification bell as well so you can be alerted whenever I'm posting videos that you might be interested in. And also don't forget to like the video as well. It really does help with the algorithm and the channel's visibility on YouTube. Thank you so much for your support. I really appreciate it. Okay, moving right along here. I got a Sony release, a Sony Steelbook 4K release. Brian De Palma movie. I'm talking about Body Double, and this is another one I wasn't sure if I was going to upgrade from Blu-ray or not. I have an indicator Blu-ray of this one, and I was kind of on the fence about it. I was like, do I really need to upgrade this one? But then I started thinking about it. I was like, well, it is Brian De Palma I bet it looks really good in 4K. And it does. This looks stunning in 4K. Excellent looking 4K. I was really happy with this. And that's not surprising. I mean, Sony always does a great job on their 4K transfers, their 4K restorations. I don't think I've ever been disappointed by a Sony release in that regard, in terms of the way the 4K looks. You know, Fright Night, Real Genius, you name it, they all look amazing. And, you know, Body Double was no exception. It really does look stunning in 4K. And, you know, if you're a Brian De Palma film, you know that his films lend themselves really well to the 4K format. So, yeah, I had fun revisiting this one. Solid looking 4K, absolutely a solid looking 4K. So if you are a Brian De Palma fan, you might want to consider upgrading this one to 4K. Body Double. And next, I won't spend too much time on these because I just talked about these in my last video, but I gotta mention it at least. Alien Romulus, I did pick up 2 editions that I wanted to point out. I got the cool slip-covered edition there with the embossing and the spot gloss on the face hugger there. Very cool stuff. I was pretty happy with the Sony slipcover on this, but being such a massive fan of the Alien franchise, I decided to also pick up a steelbook of Alien Romulus, and I love the steelbook design. I think the art looks great. Now the back's not that great, but the front, I think that looks pretty cool. So, and I'm glad I have them both. Now we just need a full Alien box set of like all the Alien movies. Well, we might need to wait for the sequels for this to be done, the sequel or sequels plural. I'm not sure what it ends up being, but one day I hope we get a big fat Alien box set, and better yet, like a steelbook box set, like we saw with Rambo, the Rambo series, and the Superman movies, and a number of others, the Hunger Games movies. Now, I'd love to see a steelbook box set of all the Alien movies together, or any kind of box set in 4K. I'd be satisfied with that. You get Alien, you get Aliens, you get, you know, Alien 3 and Resurrection, you know, the later Ridley Scott movies, Prometheus and Alien Covenant. I just want a giant, giant Alien 4K box that has everything that we ultimately end up getting. So, you know, but so who knows? Someday that may or may not happen. A man can dream, right? But in the meantime, I had to pick up both the slipcovered edition and the steelbook edition of Alien Romulus. I've said it before, I'll say it again. I think this was the best Alien movie in the franchise since Aliens. And I stand by that, with 1 or 2 minor criticisms aside. So yeah, Alien Romulus. And then this next release I got as a birthday gift. My birthday's in December as well as Christmas, right? So that's part of why I'm always, I get a lot of physical media for gifts or gift cards or gift cash or whatever. And this was something I was happy to get on 4K. The Superman box set, 1978 to 1987, the Christopher Reeve years. Yeah, I had to do it. At least the first 3 movies here, even the Richard Pryor movie. I have a lot of nostalgia for those movies from my childhood. I saw the first 2 in the theater when they first came out, and I used to watch the 3rd one all the time playing on cable TV, and I got a kick out of that one too. So a lot of great memories with this, and I had been meaning to get around to picking this up on 4K. I have the other Superman box set on Blu-ray. I'll point that out, this older one. You know, this was the box set to have prior to this 4K coming out, or at least I think it was. But there are some differences. This one is not as comprehensive as the older Blu-ray box set. You do not get Superman Returns in here, and you do not get that long feature-length making of documentary of Superman Returns either. So this is just the Christopher Reeve movies, whereas the Blu-ray box had the Christopher Reeve movies plus Superman Returns. So, but that's fine. You know, I had to have these in the best possible quality, and I can't wait to, well, I actually watched the first one already, and I thought it looked pretty good. I haven't watched any of the others yet, so I'm looking forward to checking out the others as well. But I did watch the first one on 4K, and it looked pretty solid to me. Certainly no complaints about that. So yeah, happy to have these Christopher Reeve films. on 4K for my collection. So yeah, the Superman collection. Next up, another title I talked about just in my last video, so I won't say too much, but this is so cool that I just have to show it again. Stir of Echoes on 4K with the cool steelbook and the Lionsgate lenticular slipcover. Lionsgate does a great job with their steelbooks, and they often do these cool slipcovers, and this one is cool. You got Kevin Bacon there, eyes closed with the black, and then you turn it, and she appears, eyes open. How cool is that? I love that lenticular slipcover. And so I had to point it out again. Like I said, I just talked about this in my last video. Cool little steelbook there. But that lenticular slipcover, it was definitely a selling point for me. In addition to the fact that it's just a really good film. So if you've never seen Stir of Echoes, this is one I definitely recommend. And the 4K looks great. Great packaging, great transfer, and great film. So yeah, Stir of Echoes. All right, and then the last group of titles that I picked up on 4K were from Vinegar Syndrome, and I also took the opportunity to get this cool Vinegar Syndrome shirt. This is the split fountain variant, and I've had my eye on this shirt for a while. But let's get back to physical media. I did pick up the Congo 4K VSU box set. You know I love the Vinegar Syndrome chunky boxes, and look at the back there, that looks pretty cool. So yeah, I love these editions. You know, I wasn't like super attached to this movie. I don't think I had ever seen this movie before. I remember when it came out in the 90s, but I don't remember ever having seen it back then. And, you know, I had fun with this. It was the first time watch for me, but I actually had fun with it. I mean, it's nothing to write home about. It's not some amazing film or anything, but I did find it entertaining enough. You know, I enjoyed it for what it was, and I didn't have any regrets about picking up this VSU box. I thought it was a fairly entertaining film. You know, fun for what it is, right? But nothing too mind-blowing or amazing or anything. But that's like par for the course for Vinegar Syndrome, right? That's the kind of movies they have often meet that criteria. You know, they're entertaining, and but they're not exactly, you know, Oscar nominees or anything like that. So yeah, Congo, I enjoy this. And of course, let's take a look at the inside of the packaging. Always love the VSU boxes with the magnetic clasp there, and the little ribbon there to take out the stuff. You got the slipcover there, which I actually like this slipcover. I think it's pretty cool. There's the back there, and then you get reversible cover art as well. So you get the original art as usual with Vinegar Syndrome. They're really good about doing that with their 4Ks and Blu-rays too. So yeah, I was happy about this one. And then you do get also a little book here, which let's see if I can do this. Can you see that? Yeah, I don't know. I'm not good at showing books on this. I got to get a little better at about that. But anyway, you get the idea. It looks like it's about a you know, 40-page book there, and yeah, good stuff. I love these VSU box sets from Vinegar Syndrome. I do wish they would put out maybe a few cooler titles than Congo, if I'm being real, right? I mean, Roadhouse, that was a big deal. When they did Roadhouse in their VSU box, that was an awesome release, and I would love to see more movies like that. But in the meantime, I'll be perfectly happy settling for titles like Congo as long as they come in some sort of cool box set like this, right? So yeah, Congo was the first Vinegar Syndrome release I picked up. This was my Black Friday order here, which I didn't get till like the end of December. And that's normal, you know. Black Friday sale, it's a huge sale for them. They get thousands and thousands of orders. They only have so much staff to accommodate these the demand for the orders that they have. So they do the best they can. You know, sometimes it takes a few weeks to get your stuff from Vinegar Syndrome, but you know, their customer service is top notch. And I know they're doing the best they can during these big sales. So great company. I also picked up, I probably would not have purchased this movie if it weren't for the packaging. I was so excited about the packaging. I just thought it looked super cool that I decided to get this movie. And I don't think I've ever seen this movie before. I remember the movie when it came out originally, but I don't think I've ever seen it before. So I was kind of like, do I really need this movie? But ultimately, the packaging got me for this one. And I'm talking about Sliver. And, Vinegar Syndrome, look at that. Look at this box. You got a nice, cool, chunky box there. I mean, it's not super chunky, but it's still chunky, meaning a rigid, hard box, right? And you got these cool little television screens there. And I love the glossy spot gloss. There's like a spot gloss on all these TV screens. It's kind of hard to say. There you go. You can kind of see the shine on my light there. So yeah, it's like glossy on the little TV screens, and then on the title, of course, of the film, and you get the back, same kind of deal. Everything's glossy in those little TV screens. If I could just get the reflection on it right. There we go. There you go. You can see it's glossy, which I think is cool. It looks really cool. And then you get a slipcovered edition and a book inside there, which I will pull out and show you real quick. The slipcover for Sliver even looks cool. Look at that. I love the blue. And then you got spot gloss just on the squares with the word sliver in it, right? That spell out the word sliver. So it's kind of cool. I love that. Very slick looking slipcover. And of course, just the eyes on the back. But I love the slipcover. Of course, you do get, like I said, original artwork, reversible cover art there on the 4K. And yeah, this is a movie I had never seen before. I don't know if it's any good. I had heard it got a lot of shit. Let's see if I go this side. There we go. Try the book there. You got some essays in there. You got some pictures and stuff. Sharon Stone, William Baldwin, Tom Berenger in this movie. Yeah, I don't know if it's any good or not. What do you guys think of this one? Have you guys seen this one? Is it even worth it? I mean, I'm sure the packaging is worth having because the packaging is cool, but is the movie itself worth owning? I'd love to hear your take in the comments below on this one. It's a thriller, right? It seems like a thriller, kind of an erotic thriller, which I've always been somewhat on the fence for that subgenre. I've never been the biggest erotic thriller fan, but I do like thrillers in general. So yeah, I'm kind of on the fence there, but so I don't know. We'll see if this is any good, but I just thought the packaging was so cool. I just had to have it. And so I grabbed it. So yeah, Sliver. And then I also got the big one from Vinegar Syndrome that everybody was talking about. I just talked about this in my last video, so I'm not going to say much about it here, but I did mention I picked up the Keep, also the cool chunky box. And like I said, you can check out my last video if you want to hear more about this. I'm not going to get into it now because I did have quite a bit to say about this in my last video, but I'm really glad that this kind of long-lost Michael Mann film is finally available to us in a decent format, in Blu-ray or better. And in this case, it's in 4K. So I had a blast watching this one, and a great release from Vinegar Syndrome. So I was really happy to pick up the Keep. And then finally, the last Vinegar Syndrome title I picked up, this was kind of more of it was something that I was just curious about. I never got around to picking up the VSU box of this before it went out of print and before they all sold out. So I just got a standard edition. It was on sale Black Friday, so I figured, I at the very least want to see this Showgirls restoration. I want to see the job that Vinegar Syndrome did on this. I know Paul Verhoeven was involved in was consulted on the restoration from what I understand for this. And I hear the restoration just looks amazing on this. I'm not the biggest fan of this particular movie, but I do like Paul Verhoeven. So I thought I'd give this one a try. Now I've heard, because I've never seen this movie all the way through, I feel like I've only ever seen like the first half of the movie, right? I've heard there's kind of the movie takes kind of an interesting turn at the end there, or later on in the movie, and that I'm kind of interested to see. And that may have even piqued my curiosity enough to buy this on 4K. But aside from just having another Paul Verhoeven film in my collection, but Vinegar Syndrome, they always do great work with their 4Ks, so I wanted to check out this transfer and see how it came out. So yeah, Showgirls was my last pickup from Vinegar Syndrome, and my last pickup from the month. Okay, so that about wraps it up for this latest collection update, my December haul. Let me know what you think of everything I picked up in the comments below. I always love hearing from you guys and hearing your thoughts on this stuff. Did you guys pick up any of these titles that I've shown yourself? And if so, did you like them? Did you not like them? Anything here I mentioned that you were disappointed by? I always love hearing your comments and your thoughts on this stuff. So make sure you leave me some feedback down below. Stay tuned for my next video as well. It'll be coming out a little later this week. I'm going to be going over my most anticipated 4Ks of 2025, at least based on what we know so far. So I think many of you will have a lot of fun with that video, so stay tuned for that. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Thank you so much for watching today, guys. I really appreciate it, and I'll see you soon.